possible alien megastructures on Tabby's star. So Tabby's star, scientifically known as KIC 8462852, which I think is a much catchier title. Tabby's star, just a bit of a mouthful. But it's become pretty popular in recent years. Astronomers have spotted unusual and irregular dimming patterns on the star. The star's brightness dims unpredictably, and at times way more than what's expected for your typical star. So because of the strangeness that seems to be going on with this star, it's led some to speculate that there could be alien megastructures on it. And yes, even scientists are saying it's a possibility. I know it sounds wild, but the idea is that advanced extraterrestrial civilizations might be constructing massive structures like Dyson spheres or swarms around the star. And the purpose of these hypothetical megastructures could be to intentionally block or harvest the star's light to be used as energy. This would cause the dimming effect that we see. Now, this is just one speculative hypothesis. There are others, but it's pretty cool to think that this may be a genuine sign of life out there in space. Next, let's talk about fast radio bursts. So fast radio bursts, or FRBs, are powerful, fleeting signals from deep space that last just a fraction of a second, up to 3 seconds at the most. Scientists use radio telescopes to detect these bursts, but they're still not exactly sure what causes them. One theory is that FRBs could be born from cataclysmic events like collisions between neutron stars and black holes, creating ripples in space-time that generate these intense signals. And there is also the possibility that they come from advanced extraterrestrial civilizations. What makes FRBs so strange, though, is the amount of energy that they send out. In just a millisecond, these bursts release as much energy as our sun emits in 3 entire days. And what's frustrating, though, is that they appear so sporadically, it's really tough to sit down and study them. So while there are possibilities as to what could be causing these signals, they're still pretty much a complete mystery. The Great Attractor. Now that sounds like some cosmic horror right there, and it kinda is. The Great Attractor is a massive gravitational area of the universe that's pulling our Milky Way galaxy and numerous other galaxies toward it. And yeah, that's kind of scary. The Great Attractor was first identified in the 70s when scientists noticed that our Milky Way, along with other galaxies around us, weren't moving in the direction that gravitational forces alone could explain. Something massive and hidden seemed to be tugging at everything. Now, we can't directly see the Great Attractor, so astronomers have to rely on indirect observations and measurements to understand its existence. It's this unseen force of nature, very Lovecrafty. It's thought to be a concentration of both visible and dark matter, which is the invisible substance that makes up a large part of the universe. More on that later. So what happens though when we eventually get pulled into whatever this thing is? Luckily we'll be long dead, so no point really worrying about it. But a great cosmic force like this, it really does remind us how small and insignificant we are in the grand scheme of things.
In our number 7 spot today we have the Paulinas. The Arctic Ocean is throwing scientists for a loop with the sudden appearance of massive Paulinas, huge patches of open water that inexplicably emerge in the midst of solid sea ice. These anomalies aren't just small gaps, some are large enough to be spotted by satellites, leaving experts scratching their heads. Marine life seems equally perplexed, with whales and seals venturing into these unexpected open waters while predators follow close behind, disrupting the natural order of the ecosystem. Some researchers speculate that hidden geothermal activity or shifting ocean currents might be tearing these holes into the ice, but no one one really knows for sure. The rapid formation of these polynas is altering local climates, affecting everything from weather patterns to the migration of species. As the mysteries deepen, scientists are growing increasingly concerned. Could these startling events be signaling even more dramatic changes lurking beneath the Arctic's frozen surface? In our number 6 spot today, we have the frozen methane pingos. The Arctic Ocean is revealing yet another chilling secret. Enormous underwater mounds called frozen methane pingos that could be ticking time bombs beneath the ice. These mysterious hills, some towering as high as skyscrapers, are filled with pressurized methane gas trapped for millennia. Recent dives have shown these pingos bulging ominously, with cracks spiderwebbing across their surfaces and strange bubbles rising to the frigid surface waters. Scientists are alarmed because if one of these giants were to rupture, it could unleash a massive surge of methane, a greenhouse gas far more potent than carbon dioxide, into the atmosphere, potentially accelerating climate change overnight. Even more unsettling is the possibility of abrupt environmental shifts. Imagine entire ecosystems thrown into chaos by sudden temperature spikes or massive underwater landslides triggering tsunamis. Researchers are racing against time to understand these hidden behemoths before they decide to awaken. Could these frozen giants hold the key to a climatic domino effect no one is prepared for? In our number 5 spot today, we have the watermelon snow algae. Scientists are growing increasingly uneasy about a bizarre phenomenon that's turning the Arctic's once pristine ice sheets a haunting shade of red. Known colloquially as watermelon snow, this eerie coloration is caused by massive blooms of rare algae species. But it's not just the unsettling hue that's causing alarm. These crimson algae absorb more sunlight, dramatically accelerating the melting of the ice and disrupting the delicate balance of the Arctic ecosystem. What's more is that recent expeditions have reported that the areas affected seem to be expanding at an unnatural rate, with some researchers whispering about unknown factors fueling this explosive growth. Wildlife is acting strangely too. Polar bears avoiding their usual hunting grounds and migratory birds altering their flight paths to steer clear of the scarlet-stained ice. As the Arctic continues to bleed red, scientists fear we're witnessing the beginning of an environmental shift with consequences that we can't yet fully grasp. In our number 4 spot today, we are talking about the giant deep-sea creatures. Beneath the icy surface of the Arctic Ocean, rumors are swirling about colossal sea creatures that defy all scientific understanding, sending chills through the marine biology community. Local fishermen whisper about nets shredded by unseen giants and shadows that blot out the sunlight beneath their boats. Deep-sea explorers have reported anomalous readings, massive moving objects that vanish without a trace when approached. Some submersibles have even captured fleeting images of tentacles stretching into the darkness or enormous fins slicing through the frigid waters. Scientists fear these could be prehistoric behemoths awakened from eons of slumber by shifting climates and melting ice. The idea that such leviathans might be real is both exhilarating and absolutely terrifying, hinting at undiscovered links in the ocean's food chain. As research teams prepare to dive deeper than ever before, a daunting question hangs in the air. Are we ready to confront the monstrous mysteries that the thawing Arctic is beginning to unveil? In our number 3 spot today, we have the secret military installations. Rumors are swirling that the Arctic Ocean is concealing more than just ice and wildlife. Some believe it's home to secret military installations hidden beneath the frigid waters. Locals and explorers have reported unusual sightings, strange metallic structures peeking through the ice, unmarked vessels slipping silently through foggy nights, and mysterious transmissions interrupting radio signals. Even satellite images seem to blur or distort certain areas, fueling speculation that governments are masking something big. Scientists on research missions have stumbled upon restricted zones patrolled by unidentified personnel, and their equipment sometimes malfunctions without explanation. The strategic importance of the Arctic, with its untapped resources and new shipping lanes opening due to melting ice, makes these whispers even more intriguing. Could nations be quietly building underwater bases or testing advanced technologies away from prying eyes? The idea might sound like something out of a spy novel, but with so much at stake in this remote frontier, it's a question that keeps getting harder and harder to dismiss. In our number 2 spot today, we have the unusual light phenomena. Under the Arctic night sky, explorers and scientists are witnessing a mesmerizing yet unnerving spectacle of unexplained lights dancing across the horizon. These unusual light phenomena, often dubbed Arctic UFOs, flicker and swirl in patterns that defy natural explanations. While some attribute them to rare atmospheric conditions, shimmering auroras, or optical illusions created by ice crystals, others whisper about more mysterious origins. Reports describe lights moving in synchronized formations, changing colors with eerie precision, and sometimes hovering motionlessly before vanishing without a trace. Cameras and sensors occasionally capture these elusive displays, sparking intense debates among experts. Theories range from secret military experiments using advanced technologies to hints of extraterrestrial visitors observing our planet from the frozen depths. Locals share stories passed down through generations of strange lights guiding ships or signaling hidden dangers beneath the ice. As the Arctic continues to thaw and open up, these lights grow more frequent, leaving scientists both fascinated and fearful of what secrets the darkness might reveal. And finally, in our number 1 spot today, we have the Hollow Earth. Whispers of a hidden world beneath the Arctic ice have reignited one of the oldest and most tantalizing conspiracy theories: the existence of a hollow Earth. Adventurers and fringe theorists claim that massive entrances to this subterranean realm lie concealed at the poles, guarded by ancient forces or advanced technologies. Recent expeditions have stumbled upon inexplicable geological formations and vast unexplored caverns that some believe could be gateways to this mysterious inner world. Stories of eerie lights emanating from beneath the ice, coupled with unexplained seismic activity, only add fuel to this speculation. Locals share legends of secret passages and lost civilizations thriving in the darkness below, untouched by time. While mainstream science dismisses these claims as fanciful myths, the allure of discovering a hidden civilization or untapped resources keeps the mystery alive. As ice caps continue to melt and new areas become accessible, the possibility of uncovering something extraordinary captivates the imagination. Could there truly be an undiscovered world waiting beneath the frozen surface, or is this just another captivating chapter in the Arctic's long history of mysterious secrets?
Start with something really cool, Go Bro. This site, buried deep in the Sahara Desert in Niger, was discovered in 2000 by a team of archaeologists led by Paul Serrano. The site is full of burial grounds, some dating back as far as 10,000 years, and back then the Sahara looked a lot different. It's a barren desert now, but 10,000 years ago, this place hadn't fully dried up. There was still plenty of lush greenery and lakes in certain spots. Goboro is one of those places that gives us a glimpse into a time when the Sahara wasn't the barren desert we know today. The people who lived here were a mix of hunter-gatherers and early farmers, and they coexisted with domesticated animals like cattle. That's pretty wild when you think about how we picture the desert now. When archaeologists found the burial sites, they came across human remains alongside cattle and other animals, and all in a spot that's now a literal graveyard. What's eerie about it is that these bones are just sitting there in the desert, an ancient snapshot of life from a time when the Sahara was a far different place. The way things shift from green to desert is kind of crazy to think about, and the fact that we still find these clues buried in the sand kind of gives you the chills. The Quaramatus hediensis was a giant prehistoric catfish basically, and it lived around 37 million years ago. But what does that have to do with the Sahara Desert? Well, the remains of one was discovered in 2017 in Egypt, and the thing was about 6.5 feet long. Now, catfish aren't exactly the type of creatures that jump out at you as being scary, but a catfish the size of a taller than average person, kinda freaky. And massive sized catfish weren't the only large sea creatures that once lived in the area. A long time ago, what's now the Sahara Desert was underwater. Scientists have found fossils of giant sea snakes, whales, and all kinds of other animals that lived there between 150 million years ago. According to Maureen O'Leary, the lead scientist on this study, the area looked more like modern Puerto Rico back then. A warm, sunny place with mangroves, mollusks, and a coastline full of wildlife. One of the coolest things they found is that a lot of these sea creatures grew way bigger than anything we see today. Some sea snakes were up to 12.3 meters or just over 40 feet long. O'Leary and her team think this could have been a case of gigantism, where animals get bigger in isolated places like islands, saying, quote, maybe this island gigantism can pertain to islands of water. Basically, when a sea like this one would move in and out, it could have created little pockets of water where animals grew larger, with more food and fewer predators. People in northern Mali, where these fossils were found, have known about this ancient sea for a long time. O'Leary remembers locals telling her they'd find marine shells and know that they came from an old sea. Speaking of sea creatures in the Sahara, Wadi al-Hitan, or Whale Valley, is found in the Egyptian desert and is packed with some absolutely incredible fossils. This site actually shows how whales evolved from land mammals into the ocean-dwelling creatures we know today. You'll find fossils from ancient whales like Basilosaurus and Dorudon, but also remains from sea cows, elephants, crocodiles, and sea turtles and sea snakes. What makes this place so special is the sheer number and quality of the fossils. Some even still have their stomach contents preserved, giving researchers a rare peek into their diet. The fossils found here help scientists piece together the environment of the past and track the evolutionary journey of whales. With hundreds of well-preserved remains, Wadi al-Hitan is a very important site for understanding how whales made their transition from land to sea. And one of the coolest—
Next we are talking about Tabby's star. This star, about 1,500 light years away from us, flickers. It has these strange dimming patterns that we just don't really see with other stars. Normally, stars will dim and brighten because of things like dust clouds or changes in their own activity. For example, a star might expand and contract, or flicker because of things like solar flares. But Tabby's star's behavior is completely different. Some of the dimming episodes are dramatic, where the star loses up to 20% of its brightness. That's huge. Most stars don't fluctuate like that. So what's going on? One explanation is that dust might be blocking the light, but this theory doesn't really explain such a sudden, extreme drop in brightness. One theory that actually gets talked about amongst researchers more than you'd probably think is that something massive, say an alien Dyson sphere, could be blocking the light. What is a Dyson sphere? Well, it's a hypothetical piece of technology, a massive sphere that would surround a star to collect its energy. It definitely sounds far-fetched, but at this point it's really anybody's guess. Space is just too vast and too mysterious to rule anything out entirely. Next we are talking about dark matter. Dark matter is a really strange concept to try and wrap your head around. We can't see it, we can't touch it, but we know it's there because we can observe its effects on things that we can see. Here's the problem. We know that galaxies shouldn't be holding together the way that they are based on the visible matter we can detect. There's just not enough visible matter to explain how galaxies stay intact. Because of this, we have dark matter, which is believed to make up about 27% of the universe's total mass. It bends light and affects the movement of galaxies, but what exactly is it? Well, we actually don't know. It's just this stuff that's there but isn't. It's completely unknown, almost like nothing from Neverending Story. Some scientists think it could be made of particles we haven't discovered yet. Others think that dark matter might not be particles at all, but something else entirely. We just don't know. Next we are talking about Oumuamua. In 2017 we had a visitor from another star system, an object that we call Oumuamua. It was moving way too fast to have been part of our solar system, which means it must have come from somewhere else. The strange thing about Oumuamua wasn't wasn't just its speed, though, it was also its shape. It was long and cigar-shaped, unlike any asteroid or comet we've ever seen before, and it didn't have the typical tail of a comet. It was just this weird, elongated thing zipping through space. Even stranger, its trajectory seemed to change as it passed through the solar system, like something was pushing it in a way that didn't make sense. Most scientists think it was just a weird comet or asteroid, but there are some that think it could have been a probe sent by an alien civilization. Is that likely the case? Probably not, but either way, it came from outside our solar system and behaved in ways that don't match anything we expected. So there's just a lot of unanswered questions going on with Oumuamua. Next, we are talking about the Milky Way black hole. At the center of our galaxy, there is a supermassive black hole called Sagittarius A. This black hole has about 4 million times the mass of our sun, and it's surrounded by a whole bunch of stars and gas swirling around it. We can't see the black hole directly because light can't escape from it, but we can see the effect it has on everything around it. It's been pretty quiet recently, but astronomers are always keeping an eye on it. Thank you, astronomers. Sometimes the material around the black hole speeds up and forms these huge bursts of radiation. It can release an enormous amount of energy. Now, scientists think Sagittarius A could be getting ready to wake up. While it hasn't been as active lately, there are signs that it could become more active again, which raises all kinds of questions. Could it start pulling in more stars? Could it release huge amounts of radiation? Could it do God knows what else? Next, we are talking about rogue planets. Rogue planets are pretty terrifying. These are planets that don't orbit a star and instead just wander through space all on their own, totally unsupervised. The crazy thing is that these planets could be anywhere and we don't even know it unless they happened to cross in front of a distant star. They could be remnants of solar systems that fell apart, or they could have formed without a star at all. We've found a few rogue planets so far, but scientists believe that there could be many, many more out there. In fact, they might even outnumber the stars in our galaxy. It's hard to imagine a planet just drifting through space without the warmth and light of a star, but these planets might still have their own internal heat and could possibly even support life in some weird way. The idea of a planet traveling alone through the vast, dark reaches of space is kinda cool, I guess. Imagine if Earth was somehow able to do that with all of us still able to survive. We'd be on a constant journey through space, a Star Trek, if you will. Next up, we are talking about X-ray bursts. X-ray bursts are another mind-blowing space phenomenon. These bursts are incredibly powerful bursts of X-rays that come from deep space, often from the direction of neutron stars. Neutron stars are super dense remnants of exploded stars, and when they pull in material from a companion star, they can release massive bursts of energy. These bursts are so powerful that they can release more energy in a fraction of a second than the sun does in a whole day. Some X-ray bursts are understood, like ones that come from neutron stars, but others are still a complete mystery. Some of these bursts don't match anything we know about normal astrophysical events. This makes X-ray bursts one of the scarier things scientists are studying. Are they caused by natural processes we don't understand yet, or could there be something more out there? Some force or object that we haven't even discovered yet. And finally on our list today, we are talking about the mystery of missing antimatter. Antimatter is like the mirror image of regular matter. When a particle of matter meets its antimatter counterpart, they annihilate each other in a burst of energy. Pretty simple, but this leads to a problem. When the universe was created, it should have produced equal amounts of both matter and antimatter, but instead we see a universe mostly made up of matter. The mystery is, where did all the antimatter go? Scientists have been trying to figure out why there's this imbalance. Some think that there may have been a slight difference in the behavior of matter and antimatter in the early universe, but we don't know for sure, and at this point, there's really no way to figure that out aside from figuring out a way to travel back in time. So if any of you have any ideas on how to do that, let The scientists know.
In 2023, former NASA astronaut Leroy Chiao, who commanded Expedition 10 and piloted 3 space shuttle flights, they reported a perplexing encounter with 2 unidentified flying objects. UFOs. Yeah, real aliens. This was discovered while piloting his private plane over Texas. At an altitude of 9,000 feet, Chow observed 2 metallic spherical orbs, each approximately 3 feet in diameter, approaching his aircraft. That ought to be terrifying. The orbs passed within 20 feet of his plane, moving at high speeds, and without any communication from air traffic control. This is bizarre. Now, despite the close proximity, the objects did not appear on his plane's radar either. Chow speculated that the orbs might be part of a military drone program, but could not confirm their nature. This incident adds to the growing number of reports of mysterious aerial phenomena, including recent drone sightings in New Jersey and Staten Island, and the Pentagon's release of footage of an unidentified orb in military airspace definitely doesn't help. The incident underscores the need for continued research and open discussion regarding UFOs, especially given the increasing number of reports from credible sources like astronauts and military personnel. Have you ever heard about the Bermuda Triangle, but in space? Yeah, even scarier. It's a region in the South Atlantic Anomaly where satellites and spacecraft experience strange malfunctions and disappearances. It's like a cosmic Bermuda Triangle, a place where technology seems to go haywire and vanish all without a trace. Some scientists believe it's caused by intense radiation from the Van Allen belts, which is a region of the charged particles trapped by Earth's magnetic field. Others theorize that it might be a result of dark matter or even extraterrestrial interference, which I'm on board for. Imagine a satellite perfectly functional one moment and then suddenly it loses contact. Its systems shut down one by one as if it were being pulled into a black hole. The strangest part, astronauts who have passed through this region have reported strange occurrences, like seeing strange lights and feeling an eerie sense of dread. Some even claim to have encountered unidentified objects, massive silent vessels that seem to watch their every move. Yeah, almost like a ghost, but in space. It's a scary mystery, a place where the laws of physics seem to bend and break. And the worst part, we're still no closer to understanding what truly happens in the Bermuda Triangle of space. Radio signal blasters. Picture a super powerful radio signal blasting out from a faraway galaxy aimed straight at Earth, right at us. It's like a cosmic SOS, a message in a bottle just floating in the endless openness of space. Scientists are of course stumped, and as are we. They've never seen anything like this before. This signal is super strong, pulsing with energy, and some experts think that it might be signs of aliens trying to reach out to us. Others think it could be a natural thing, something we don't quite understand yet, but the real mystery is what the signal is saying. It's not just a simple message, it's a complicated pattern, a language that we still can't figure out. Some people think it might be a map or a plan for something way beyond our understanding. If this is a message from aliens, what do they want? And what if they're not so far away? The truth is out there, and it might be closer than we think. Oumuamua is a mysterious object that zipped through our solar system a few years ago. It was unlike anything we've ever seen before. It was a long, cigar-shaped, and it was moving way too fast. Some scientists think that it might be a natural object, like say a comet or an asteroid, but others have a more interesting and scary theory. Some believe that it could be a probe sent by an advanced alien civilization. Now imagine a spacecraft, designed by beings far more intelligent than us, exploring our solar system, all while being undetected. The strangest thing about Oumuamua is its acceleration. It seemed to have sped up as it left our solar system, as if it had its own propulsion system. What's even more frightening is the possibility that Oumuamua is not just a passive object. Some speculate that it could be this self-aware entity capable of gathering information and even interacting with our world. The thought of an alien intelligence lurking in the shadows of our solar system, well, that right there is enough to send chills down your spine.
Having the safety of a car when traveling alone at night definitely brings me more comfort and ease knowing that there is at least some sort of barrier between me and whatever may be out there lurking within the darkness. An account named Creepy Outdoors on TikTok uploaded this video online, showing what appears to be a solar hiker trying to enjoy a peaceful night alone out in a forest trail. Now, I'm not the one to judge, but you should always make sure to have someone with you when you're being this brave. Throughout his journey, the man felt off and decided to end his journey early. However, finally making it back into that safe barrier of his car, he started to hear a strange knocking coming from the back window. This happens multiple times, and the second time sounding more urgent and slightly aggressive than the first. Finally being taken out of freeze mode, the hiker goes to investigate, only to find something he truly wishes he didn't see. A handprint is outlined on the back window, only it wasn't a human, as he lightly outlines with his finger of its rough shape. Thankfully, the TikToker is safe and nothing else came out of this encounter. But still, what could have possibly been knocking that much to get his attention? Especially if it wasn't a human that was doing it. I truly do believe there are hidden secrets that our Earth holds from us, and whether it be from the government or something completely out of this world, I aim to keep an open mind about them. As my jealousy exceeds me, these two hikers were given the opportunity to catch such a sighting. Or so they claim. They appeared to be in a canyon of sorts, and seemingly had stopped in the middle of their journey because they allegedly saw a door open on the side of a hillside wall. This is actually disturbing because as they zoom in on the hill, you can actually see a door-shaped cutout within the rock. I feel if I do look at it long enough, my brain will start to make me think, or make me see it opening and closing as well. My guess is, there's gotta be something sort of secret base in there if what they're telling us is true. Now I want to go out there and find out for myself. But like always, only in the daytime, and maybe with 5 to 10 friends supporting me. Staying within the woods for a short period of time for a little hike is all fine and dandy. What if you choose to stay there for multiple nights? By yourself? This camper is much braver than me, and thankfully recorded his journey of a strange anomaly that happened to him on his solo trip. It was all fine in the beginning, until things began to happen as his journey progressed into the nighttime. Hearing some noises outside, he proceeds out of his camper with caution, only to notice the flickering of a light way off in the distance. Getting closer to it, he notices that it's a flashlight that wasn't left by him. Clearly, he wasn't alone in these woods. And I quote from him, "A flashlight just doesn't fall out of the sky." Taking a break and trying to compose himself, he steps away from the flashlight after taking it with him, only to come back and notice that it was turned on and moved from the original spot he placed it down in. You've got to be kidding me. I'd pack up and leave right after that. But clearly this guy was no quitter and proceeded to stay the night, even sleeping it off, before making it to the morning and leaving as soon as the sun came up. He was incredibly lucky nothing had happened to him, and I think it's better we never find out who or what was playing this sick joke on him, because for all we know, it could have been someone with not so great intentions. Being able to catch a real ghost on camera has and always will be one of the greatest achievements of our lifetimes. Whenever I go hiking out in the woods, I always like to record my findings, but I don't know how I feel when it comes to much older buildings. The man recording this video seemingly comes out of the brush after hiking for a bit and stumbles upon a church. I don't blame him for wanting to record, as old-style churches are incredibly beautiful and intricate in its design. However, as it pans down to get a view of the whole building, we see that there is a woman there watching him film, probably wanting to introduce himself and maybe explain why he's taking a video. It only gets all the more scarier as the woman disappears completely as he turns the corner. And I do mean completely. The only logical explanation, if you would call it that, is that she had gone through the wall itself. It was never explained who this girl was, and the hiker never sees her again after that. But if it was truly a ghost, I personally wouldn't stay any second longer in that location. Were you the type of child that liked to run on all fours? Or would you run up the stairs like a dog or a cat? I definitely was, because it was fun, silly, and harmless. Would you say the same if it came to seeing it outside in the darkness? Seeing this video definitely freezes me in place, as we clearly see what may appear to be a child or a woman standing on all fours, aggressively shaking their head in an unnatural way. If I were to come across this and saw that thing down the trail, you better believe I'm turning in the opposite direction. I am not playing here. Not to mention the way it's standing, how all its limbs are completely straightened out, not like how humans will have a natural bend in their knees or arms when placing themselves in this position. If this came running towards you at full speed, what do? I think my heart would stop, and I'd give up and let the creature take me. Maybe it'll raise me as one of their own. Who knows? Now these next group of guys are smart. You always want to stick together as a group when exploring forest trails in the dark. And even better that they have bikes. All the more easier to get away from whatever could be chasing you within the dark, confusing landscape of the woods. This one you really need to slow down and watch carefully, because you might just miss it. It all happens so fast, mainly because of the speed that these guys are tearing up. But right at the beginning, you can see our main guy with the GoPro swerve out of the way from what appears to be a figure dressed in all black, with the only clear area of skin that's shown is its hand. The creature seemed to also completely unbothered, especially when 2 bikes had already passed. This strikes me as very odd. Not even a single reaction coming from the anomaly. Some speculate that it was some sort of witch, which isn't a bad guess, and considering the tattered, long black clothing that they were wearing, which stereotypical cartoon witches wear. I've only heard stories of unknown creatures running across the front of a car of a dark trail, and I'm glad it's only that I've experienced. With the lack of streetlights and only being dependent on the soft glow of your headlights, who knows what you'll find out there within the comfort of a dark forest. Right as the car turns the corner, we see far off into the distance of what appears to be an incredibly large beast bolt across the street, as if they're the ones being surprised by the sudden appearance. Are you kidding me? I'm terrified of you, pal. You're the size of 6 of me stacked up. And if you look closely, were those 2 tails I saw? Or antennas?
Starting off this list today, we are talking about fast radio bursts. Fast radio bursts are some of the most mysterious signals we've ever detected in space. These bursts of radio waves are so intense and short that they only last a few milliseconds, yet they can release as much energy as the sun does in an entire day. The first FRB was discovered back in 2007, and since then, astronomers have been trying to understand where they are coming from. They're often detected in far-off galaxies, and some are repeating, while others only happen once. The weirdest thing is how unpredictable they are. Sometimes the bursts arrive in rapid fire, and other times they seem to just pop up out of nowhere. So, what's behind them? The leading theory is that they come from neutron stars, which are remnants of exploded stars. When neutron stars collide or spin, they release massive amounts of energy, possibly causing these strange bursts. But there are some that are still completely unexplained. The most fun theory, and the one that I really hope is true, is that unexplained fast radio bursts are signals from alien civilizations. Can't say definitely that that isn't the case, so I'm just gonna go ahead and believe that until it's disproved. In our number 9 spot today, we are talking about the Great Attractor. The Great Attractor is a gravitational anomaly in space that scientists are still trying to figure out. This mysterious force seems to be pulling our galaxy, the Milky Way, and many others toward it. The thing is, we can't actually see. It's found in a region of space between the constellations Centaurus and Hydra, hidden behind a huge cosmic dust cloud, so we can't really directly observe what's causing the pull. All we know is that it's incredibly powerful, strong enough to affect galaxies millions of light years away. The force is so intense that it's literally altering the motion of galaxies, dragging them across space. Some scientists think the Great Attractor could be a cluster of galaxies clumped together in a way that's creating a gravitational pull. Others think it could be a supermassive black hole, or something even stranger. Maybe some kind of dark matter concentration that we just don't fully understand yet. Whatever it is, it's something out there that's affecting the universe in ways we just don't understand, and the fear of the unknown makes it one of the scariest mysteries in astronomy. Next, we are talking about the cosmic microwave background radiation anomalies. Say that 10 times fast. The cosmic microwave background is a faint glow of radiation left over from the Big Bang. This radiation fills the entire universe, and studying it helps scientists understand what the early universe was like. But in recent years, some oddities in the CMB have popped up. One of the most famous is what's often referred to as the cold spot, an area where the radiation is much cooler than it should be. This cold spot is a huge mystery because it doesn't fit with what we understand of how the universe formed. Could it be caused by a giant cosmic structure beyond our observable universe? Probably, but we can't really be sure. There are also other anomalies in the CMB, like weird patterns and irregularities that don't line up with the models we have. I keep saying we. They have. Actual astronomers and scientists, not just people like me who also make plenty of videos on Bigfoot and the Titanoboa. Point is, there's a lot about the early universe that very smart people who study this stuff for a living still don't understand, but that's what science places, an ever-growing constant pursuit of the truth.
Vampire stars. Yep, this is exactly what it sounds like. These space monsters suck the life out of other stars, making them smaller and weaker. They steal energy from other stars to make themselves bigger and stronger. Talk about selfish. These vampire stars can get really, really big, stealing enough life force to last for billions of years. And as they eat, they shoot out these harmful rays that can mess up whole planets. This makes us wonder about our own sun. I mean, could it get eaten by a vampire star and die a slow, painful death? Well, let's hope not. Space is a dangerous place, and that's why I prefer it here on Earth. At least most days. Giant rogue black hole. What's more scary than a black hole in outer space? Well, that's easy. It's a giant rogue black hole in outer space. These giant black holes are billions of times bigger than our sun, and they just wander around space eating everything and anything in their path. Now, scientists think that these monster black holes could be hiding in the dark, and we might not even know that they're there. If one of these things came into our galaxy, it could destroy planets, stars, and maybe even our whole Milky Way galaxy. So what can make these rogue black holes even scarier? Well, I'm glad you asked. There's one called B3174525. This rogue black hole is moving through space at 3 million miles per hour, and it was discovered by the Hubble telescope in 2017. It is thought that this monster broke free after two galaxies crashed right into each other. Now it's just roaming around in space doing whatever it wants. Now the good news here is that it's 2 billion light years away from us, so for now, we're safe. But still, it's a scary thought that something so powerful is even lurking out there to begin with. The Great Attractor. Imagine our galaxy, the Milky Way, is being pulled towards this mysterious, powerful force. This force, known as the Great Attractor, rather fitting name, is so strong that it's influencing the motion of millions of galaxies. It's like a cosmic vacuum cleaner sucking everything towards it. Scientists aren't sure exactly what's causing this strong pull, but they suspect it might be a massive cluster of galaxies or even a supermassive black hole. As our galaxy is being pulled towards the Great Attractor, it is possible that we could collide with other galaxies along the way, and we could collide with even another galaxy. It would be a disaster, messing up our entire solar system and maybe even threatening life here on Earth. Coronal mass ejection. Imagine the sun burping out a giant fiery cloud. Now this cloud, called a CME or a coronal mass ejection, can be super dangerous if it hits Earth. Big if on that one. These CMEs can be incredibly powerful if they hit Earth. They can even cause serious problems. They can disrupt our power grids, cause widespread blackouts, all bad. They can also damage satellites and other technology that's currently in space. In extreme cases, they could even harm astronauts on the International Space Station. In 2012, a huge CME missed Earth by just a week. Scientists say that if it had hit us, it could have caused a massive blackout that would have taken years to recover from. Close call. Mega comet. This cosmic giant is so big, it's been nicknamed a mega comet. It's over 80 miles wide, which is bigger than most moons, and as this giant comet gets closer to the sun, it's waking up and shredding dust and ice every single day. Its sheer size and unpredictable behavior make it a cause for concern. A close encounter with this comet could have unforeseen consequences, potentially disrupting Earth's orbit or even triggering a catastrophic event. Yeah, let's hope that doesn't happen anytime soon. Thanks. Supernovas. If a supernova were to occur relatively close to Earth, it could have devastating consequences. The intense radiation emitted by the eruption could strip away Earth's ozone layer, leaving us vulnerable to harmful solar radiation. This could lead to increased rates of skin cancer and other health problems. For astronauts, a nearby supernova would be even more dangerous. The radiation could penetrate their spacecraft, exposing them, of course, to lethal doses. Even if they were shielded, the long-term effects of exposure to such an intense radiation could be catastrophic. Fermi bubbles. These sound innocent enough, right? I mean, bubbles? What are we talking about? Picture two giant invisible bubbles floating in space, each millions of light years wide, okay? They're massive. They're filled with dangerous, high-energy radiation, and if astronauts travel through any of these bubbles, they could get sick from the radiation very fast. It's like being in a really strong radiation zone for a very long time, and you're also in space. Plus, the radiation could damage the electronics on spaceships, which could be a big problem for astronauts who are far from home and plan on returning.
Exploring woodland trails in the dead of night is not for the faint of heart, especially when you come across anomalies that your brain simply cannot make sense of. We know what a dog looks like, and we know what a pig looks like, but what happens when the two of them are combined together? The person who uploaded this seemed to have the same questions, keeping a close following on the strange animal that you see in the video. What's striking about this weird creature is that it almost looks as if two of its body parts do not belong together. Its head is much bigger than the rest of its smaller body, and the coloration of its fur does not match at all. There is a clear stripe that goes down its head, but stops immediately at its neck. And that's extremely unusual. This spliced creature seems to also carry its prey with ease, not tiring in the slightest despite its size comparison. If you come across its path, would you also be brave enough to follow it? At least with animal-like anomalies, our brains can easily categorize the creature as some sort of species that maybe hadn't been discovered yet until that very day. But what if it was a supernatural monster that looked eerily similar to a human? Taking a nighttime ride on their bikes, a group of guys come across this eerie person-like form, except they are completely bare from head to toe, without even a speck of hair on their head. This is not at all like a normal thing to come across in an open area. I'm getting extremely uncanny valley vibes the longer I look at this thing. The way it carries its arms and how it walks, and not to mention the slow turnaround it does when it's approached by the bikers. Extremely bold of them, might I add. It almost unironically reminds me of a Ken doll, completely stripped of everything that remotely resembles a normal human being. Something is just not right about this video. And like the two bikers in the beginning of the video, you will not catch me sticking around to find out what that thing is. There's something magical and almost fairy-like about wanting to walk around in the woods in a delicate nightgown and maybe some braids in my hair and flowers. But in the daytime, not in an absolute pitch black forest where I can't even see 5 feet in front of me. Environment and atmosphere is everything when it comes to photography, and this trail cam photo definitely nailed the taking of Deborah Logan look. As you can see, this still image shows what may appear to be an older woman walking through the woods at night. I say older because of the vintage nightgown, which I totally don't own myself. The owner of this trail cam is unknown, and I think that makes it all the more scary. Where did it come from? Who is this strange woman? And will we ever find out why she's out in the woods by herself? All I know is I hope she's all right.
Next up, we have space orcs. Yes, astronomers have spotted orcs in space. Orc standing for odd radio circles. Not quite as exciting as spotting green goblin monsters in space, but also less alarming. Like, would we really be able to lay our heads down at night and sleep comfortably knowing there were orcs? I don't think so. So odd radio circles. These circles are strange astronomical objects, and scientists aren't entirely sure what causes them. Scientists have spotted them by scanning the sky using radio telescopes. They're basically circular formations and don't match any known astronomical objects or phenomena. They're not galaxies, they're not stars or supernova, they're a total mystery, and because of this, they have the nickname WTF. Now, some scientists think they could be shockwaves from cosmic events, like an explosion or a collision that creates ripples that we detect as circles, but they could also come from unknown objects or phenomena we just haven't discovered yet, which is pretty cool. We got a very large space rock coming our way, a mega comet. Now, luckily, it's going to pass us by about 1 billion miles and won't be coming until 2031, but this thing really is massive. This thing, which was first spotted in 2021, is the biggest ever observed comet. It's 100,000 times the mass of your average comet. The comet is so big that at first astronomers categorized it as a minor planet. What's freaky about this is that there's almost definitely much larger comets whizzing around out there, and although this one luckily isn't going to make contact with us, there could be another one hurtling our way as we speak. That just hasn't been spotted yet. Speaking of terrifying things hurtling towards us, let's talk about Andromeda. So Andromeda, the largest and nearest galaxy to our Milky Way, just happens to be on a collision course for it. One day it will collide with the Milky Way, and when the Milky Way and the Andromeda galaxies finally collide, it won't be a sudden smash. The process takes a very long time because of the vast distances between the stars, and stars are so far apart anyway that it's unlikely they'll collide individually. But the night sky will change, constellations will shift, the appearance of the night sky will be very different in the distant future. But this collision won't be happening until billions of years from now, so there's no need to really worry about it affecting life on Earth or even distant descendants of humanity. Fingers crossed we'll have gotten our act together and we'll be like far off on other planets by the time this happens. Next, let's talk about supernovas. Supernovas are incredibly powerful explosions that occur when massive stars reach the end of their lives. Now, the good news is that the nearest star capable of going supernova is still quite a distance away from us. We're talking many light years, but what if a supernova was so powerful that even if it was super far away, it could still affect us? What damage could it cause? Well, it could potentially affect Earth's atmosphere. The explosion releases an enormous amount of energy, including intense radiation, and this radiation, in theory, could interact with Earth's atmosphere, leading to the breakdown of the ozone layer. The ozone layer is crucial for life on Earth because it absorbs the majority of the sun's harmful UV radiation. So, in this situation, we'd be in pretty big trouble. We'd basically burn up like in Terminator 2. Next up, we have the mystery as to what dark matter and dark energy consists of. Now, we know there's a lot of stuff in a galaxy, stars, planets, and gas, but when scientists calculate all the visible matter, it's not enough. The galaxies are spinning faster than they should be based on what we can see. Something extra is needed to explain this, and that something is called dark matter. Dark matter doesn't emit, absorb, or reflect light, which is why we can't directly see it. It's the invisible scaffolding that's holding the visible parts of the galaxy together. But the invisible part, dark matter and dark energy, makes up 95% of the known universe, and that's a lot of mystery, energy, and matter. What we see, not just on a day-to-day basis here on Earth, but also when we look up at the billions of stars in the sky, that's still just barely even a sliver of reality. The universe is also constantly expanding. We know it's expanding because galaxies are slowly moving away from each other, but over time this expansion continues to speed up. Something is pushing the galaxies apart faster and faster. Scientists refer to this unseen energy as dark energy. Basically, dark matter is the invisible glue holding galaxies together, and dark energy is the mysterious repellent force making the universe expand. And we don't know what it is. Next on the list, we have the Tunguska event. This was a powerful explosion that occurred on June 30th of 1908 near the Tunguska River in Siberia, Russia. It's known as one of the most mysterious events in modern history. So there was a large impact or explosion that flattened about 80 million trees over an area of about 830 square miles. The shock wave from the blast was felt thousands of kilometers away. Strangely though, there was no impact crater found at the site. This led scientists to conclude that whatever caused the event must have disintegrated in the Earth's atmosphere before reaching the ground. What most scientists think is that this was caused by the airburst of a large meteoroid or comet. The energy released by the explosion was estimated to be equivalent to 10 to 15 megatons of TNT, making it about 1,000 times more powerful than the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. Luckily, this happened in a very remote area, so only trees were affected, but that also means there weren't many witnesses. But a handful of people did report seeing a bright bluish light in the sky, accompanied by a series of thunderous noises. But of course, there's always been this question as to whether this was caused by a space rock or something else. And finally, I couldn't make this list without discussing the WOW signal. The WOW was a strange radio signal detected by astronomer Jerry Amon in 1977 while he was studying radio waves from space. Because he couldn't make out what the hell the signal was, he just wrote WOW on the printout of the signal, thus it got that name. It was a unique and very strong radio frequency that lasted about 72 seconds and came from the direction of the constellation Sagittarius. The signal was at a frequency of 1420 megahertz, a frequency that's usually associated with hydrogen, the most abundant element in the universe. What's strange is that the signal was never detected again though. Scientists naturally figured if it was a natural phenomenon, it would repeat, but from what we know, this was just a one-time thing. So is it possible this signal could have come from maybe an alien spacecraft? Yeah, it's a possibility. The WOW signal is still known as the strongest candidate for extraterrestrial radio transmission ever detected.
Starting off today in our number 10 spot, we have the magnetic anomalies. Navigators venturing into certain parts of the Arctic Ocean have reported their compasses going haywire, pointing in unexpected directions and making navigation a very tricky affair. These strange magnetic anomalies aren't just throwing off explorers, they're stirring up concern among scientists studying Earth's magnetic field. The magnetic North Pole has been drifting faster in recent years, and these Arctic oddities might be hints of deeper changes happening within our planet's core. This shift could have ripple effects on everything from navigation systems to the migratory patterns of animals that rely on Earth's magnetic cues. As researchers investigate these mysterious disturbances, they're very keen to uncover what's causing the magnetic mayhem and what it could mean for our technologically dependent world. Could these anomalies be early signs of significant changes in Earth's magnetic behavior? In our number 9 spot today, we have the hidden civilizations. Deep beneath the Arctic's icy veil, tales are emerging of ancient cities entombed in the frozen depths, sparking both excitement and fear among those who hear them. Explorers have reported glimpses of geometric shapes and structures beneath thinning ice sheets, formations that look eerily artificial. Some scientists on remote expeditions have picked up anomalous readings on their equipment, suggesting massive, unexplained objects lying on the ocean floor. Adding to the mystery, a few fishermen have hauled up peculiar artifacts in their nets, intricately carved stones and metallic devices etched with symbols that don't match any known language. While official explanations chalk these up to natural phenomena or modern debris, whispers grow louder that we might be uncovering the remnants of a civilization lost to time. As the Arctic ice continues to recede, one can't help but wonder, are we on the brink of rewriting history with discoveries hidden beneath the polar ice? In our number 8 spot today, we have the disappearances. Throughout history, the Arctic Ocean has swallowed entire expeditions without a trace, leaving behind only whispers of their mysterious fates. The Franklin expedition of the 19th century is perhaps the most haunting. 2 ships and 129 men vanished into the icy abyss, sparking countless theories but offering few answers. Recent findings of their eerily preserved ships beneath the frozen waters have raised more questions than they solve. Some artifacts hint at sudden madness among the crew, while local legends speak of malevolent forces guarding the polar realms. Modern explorers retracing their routes report unsettling phenomena, compasses spinning wildly, unearthly sounds echoing through the mist, and fleeting shadows beneath the ice that defy explanation. As scientists delve deeper into these anomalies, they're beginning to fear that the Arctic hides more than just harsh weather. It may conceal secrets that challenge our understanding of nature itself.
Finds in Egypt's Whale Valley are the remains of Archaeoceti, an ancient proto-whale type creature that once roamed both land and sea. These whales lived millions of years ago and had legs. One fossil that was found is around 69 feet long, which is impressive, but the coolest part is that this Archaeoceti had feet and toes. These things didn't just swim around in the water, but they spent time on land as well. The fossil is evidence of this transitional phase in whale evolution, showing us that whales didn't start out as full ocean creatures, but at one time were land-dwelling animals that evolved into the massive sea creatures that we know today. Ever get that eerie feeling when you walk through a big empty place? Maybe you're the last one to close up at work for the night, or you find yourself in a shopping mall near closing time and There's no one around. What should be a busy place full of life is now still and eerily quiet. Well, imagine that, only now you're walking through a ghost town in the middle of the Sahara Desert. Jado is a long-forgotten settlement once inhabited by the Tuareg people, sitting near the borders of Libya and Algeria. Jado was once a busy trade hub, a vital stop on the trans-Saharan trade routes, but over time it was abandoned, and today it's just a collection of crumbling mud brick buildings standing in the middle of nowhere. The thing about ghost towns is that they're always a little creepy. They can't help but wonder what happened to the people who lived there. Why did they leave? Well, in Jado's case, trade routes probably changed. The place just wasn't as important anymore, but still, standing in the middle of this empty ancient settlement, it's impossible not to feel the weight of its history. And you may even wonder, did everyone truly leave? Or are some of their spirits still clinging to the place that they once called home? And if so, do any of them really want you there? Next on the list, we have another monster that used to roam the desert, Macumosaurus rex. In 2014, paleontologists discovered the remains of this giant croc-like creature in the Sahara. Now, when I say giant, I really do mean giant. It weighed over 6,000 pounds and could grow twice the size of modern crocodiles, if not more. The skull alone was over 5 feet long. Just imagine the size of its mouth. This ancient marine reptile lived during the Jurassic to early Cretaceous period and would have been an absolute terror in its day. Interesting little fact here, scientists used to think the Macumosaurus species died out during the Jurassic period, but the fossil was dated back to the Cretaceous. So these giant crocs lasted much longer than anyone had originally thought. When it comes to dinosaurs, one of the most famous has to be the Spinosaurus, mostly thanks to Jurassic Park 3, definitely the coolest thing that movie gave us. In 2014, a Spinosaurus fossil was discovered in Morocco, and it was a big deal because this dino was one of the largest carnivores ever to walk the earth. But the original Spinosaurus remains were found nearly a century ago in Egypt. During World War II, though, they were lost in a bombing raid, and for years scientists could only go off drawings and sketches. But then, in 2014, paleontologists hit the jackpot with these new fossils. Spinosaurus was a massive creature with a sail-like fin on its back. Some scientists even believe it could have spent a lot of time in water, hunting like a giant crocodile. The Eye of Sahara, or Richat structure, is one of the most spectacular sights in the Sahara. The best way to see it, though, is from the sky. It's this massive circular formation that stretches about 30 miles across. It's so massive you can actually see it from space. For years, people thought it was caused by a meteorite hitting the Earth, but after more research, scientists figured out it's probably the result of some ancient geological processes. Basically, layers of rock being pushed up and then worn down over millions of years, creating this crazy looking layered formation that kind of looks like a big giant eye. Of course, though, not everyone agrees on that. Some people still think it's the remains of Atlantis, mostly because the way it's shaped kind of matches what Plato described in his stories about the lost city. Others even wonder if ancient aliens are behind it. The idea is that the structure's symmetry is so perfect it just can't be a natural thing. In 2012, a group of workers in the Sahara stumbled on something pretty crazy: the wreckage of a British fighter plane from World War II. The Kitty Hawk P-40. The plane had been missing for almost 70 years, along with its pilot, Flight Sergeant Dennis Copping. What makes this discovery even more eerie, though, is that Copping didn't die in the crash. It turns out he used his parachute to make a shelter near the wreck, but his remains weren't there. So they figure he ran out of food and water and eventually would have decided to wander off in search of help. But Copping was never seen or heard from again. For years, he was reported missing in action until this wreck was found in 2012. And finally, there's Timgad, an ancient Roman city once hidden under the sands of the Sahara. Timgad was founded around 100 CE by Roman Emperor Trajan and used to be a busy city with theaters, temples, public baths, and everything you'd expect from a big Roman settlement. But after the fall of the Roman Empire, the city was abandoned and pretty much forgotten. It wasn't until the 19th century that archaeologists rediscovered it, and today, Timgad is one of the best preserved Roman cities, with its streets, houses, and monuments still in pretty good shape. It's kind of mind-blowing that a city so grand could just get swallowed by the desert for centuries, only to be brought back to life by archaeologists.